Good morning. You know, we just have to live in like the best place in the universe. I mean, it's just kind of amazing. For people on YouTube, I mean, we're the Columbia River and the Yakima River and the Snake River converge in Washington State, southeastern corner in the middle of the desert. But it's so beautiful here. I mean, we have boat races going on right now in the Columbia. We can hear them from here. At the church, we have eggs that are, I think, gone by now. We have plants out front. I think those are tomatoes, Gerald. I'm pretty sure they look like tomatoes. I hope they're tomatoes. And then cherries might start here soon. I know that cherry season is starting soon. And we always have apples and pears. And oh my goodness, that's just great. I love this place. All right. Well, we do have a couple patron saints by the name of George Carlin and John Lennon.
Hey, George.
And John said, all we are saying is give peace a chance. Give it a chance. Give it a chance. All right, and George, the future will soon be a thing of the past. No denying that. You cannot deny that. All right. This book has, this is only a portion of the book because it keeps falling apart on me. So, this is so that you can always learn something at church. I mean, you can never say that you don't learn something at church. So, geese played an important part in the life of medieval Britain as well as other European countries. A prosperous farmer in some English countries, notably Norfolk and Lincoln, was likely to keep 1,000 adult birds. Each produced an average of about 7 goslings a year. Flocks were regularly taken to pasture and water, much in the fashion of sheep. It was therefore logical that the man who tended them should be known as a gooseherd. In autumn, birds were driven to market in London, waddling along at about 1 mile an hour. Good strains of geese produced so many feathers that they were usually plucked 5 times a year. With its soft, downy covered removed, a near-naked goose reacted quickly to a drop in temperature. Like many other birds, the goose is equipped with an elaborate network of muscles whose purpose is to pull feathers erect and form a dead air blanket. This natural insulation system is activated by thousands of tiny muscles in the skin that contract at the first sign of cold air. Plucked geese react just like fully feathered ones, with one important difference, of course. The main reaction of bear fowls are clearly visible. From gooseherd to housewife and from broker to farm boy, everyone was familiar with the queer, pimpled skin of a plucked goose exposed to cold. The bodily reactions of humans in response to a draft with the same involuntary reactions of tiny muscles, despite the scanty hair on the body, were long ago seen to be much like those of geese. That being the case, it was natural that the minute bumps raised on human skin should be called goose pimples. So, now you know. Now you know. All right, hey, we have a barbecue today. How fun. We have got so much food. You need to get on your phones right now and call your relatives and invite them down. We have got tons of food. I mean, they're out barbecuing right now, and we've got tons of salads, and I can attest that some of the foods are very, very good, and I know the brownies that somebody brought today are very good. So, all right. The marvelous thing about a joke with a double meaning is that it can only mean one thing. Okay. Nothing lowers the level of conversation more than raising the voice. Yeah. And Aristotle, 348 BC. All that we do is done with an eye to something else. There's some truth to that. There is some truth to that. All right. I knew this. England has a fascinating state of government. Of course, we do too. But in England, the Speaker of the House is not allowed to speak. His main responsibility is to preside over deliberations. So, it's quite interesting. You ought to look it up, how the Parliament works, and I mean, pomp and circumstance. I mean, it's fascinating stuff. So, more Southern medical terms, things that one day will no doubt get me into trouble, and this could be the day. Labor pain, getting hurt at work. Medical staff, a doctor's cane. Morbid, a higher offer. Nitrates, cheaper than day rates. Node, I knew it. An outpatient, a person who has fainted. Yeah, I know, they're awful. Summer is almost here. How fun. I get to put my sandals on, wear shorts to church. Well, at least I think summer's coming. So, I hope so. 16 things that took me over 50 years to learn. Never, under any circumstances, take a sleeping pill and a laxative the same night. No, not a good idea. If you had to identify in one word the reason why the human race has not achieved and never will achieve its full potential, that would be meetings. That's why we're not going to do meetings. Yeah, meetings are not good. There is a very fine line between hobby and mental illness. Yep. You can see one of my hobby cars out there, the little Volkswagen. So, people who want to share their religious views with you almost never want you to share yours with them. Yeah. You should not confuse your career with your life. That's actually very, very good. Very good. Anything else going on? Hey, what's going on with the calendar? That's the right one. How about that? You know, what's amazing is this is the first month this year, other than maybe April, that there's been so many blank spots. Amazing. Well, of course, people are on vacation and things going on. Did anybody notice? I know I'm doing the squirrel thing. Pulling into the parking lot this morning? Nice. Yeah, completely redone. Well, we were supposed to put lines. I'm still not sure why there's no lines, but there's not. So, but I mentioned that. You weren't here. I talked about tomato plants. Yes. And Qigong every Sunday at 9:15 in the back. If you want to know what Qigong is, talk to Mary Ann right there in the back, directly back. Oneness Blessing, of course, is always at the same time, about 9:15-ish. And also, Oneness Blessing will be after services, too. Although, if you want to get a line for food, you might want to hurry. Or bring the food back in. That would work, I guess. Potluck, drum making. Daryl, you're going to do drum making today, this afternoon at 2 o'clock. So, I know that he's full, but pretty sure you're full. Okay, if anybody does want to make a drum or something, talk to Daryl, because I know he's going to have another class or so. He always does, because there's always people that want to do it. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So, yeah, I'm sure it's the only place in this part of the country where you can, probably in the state of Washington, you can go and make a drum, if you like drums. Do what? Oh, really? Well, there you go. So you can go to Port Angeles. It's a fur piece. Monday is the process. Josie is going to do that. So if you want to know more about the process, talk to Josie. And I know she's got stuff in the back, too, about it. Interchange on Wednesday. Crystal reading on Thursday with Beth Clark. Beth is here, too. I saw her. Raise her hand if you want to know more about that. ARA meeting, of course, on Wednesday. And the Emergent youth group on Saturday. So, fun stuff. Oh, okay. And also Ananda Mandala on Monday night? Okay. If you want to know what Ananda Mandala is, or how to pronounce it fast while you're saying it 3 times. So, yeah, it is a wonderful meditation. So. A man and a woman were married more than 60 years. They had shared everything. They had talked about everything. They had no secrets from each other, except the little old woman had a shoebox in the top of her closet that she had cautioned her husband never to open or ask about. For all of these years, he had never thought about the box. But one day, the little old woman got very sick, and the doctor said that she would not recover. In trying to sort out their affairs, the little old man took down the shoebox and took it to his wife's bedside. She agreed that it was time that he should know what was in the box. When he opened it, he found 2 crocheted dolls and a stack of money totaling about $95,000. So, she'd been busy. He asked her about the contents. When we were married, she said, my grandmother told me the secret of a happy marriage was to never argue. She told me that if I ever got angry with you, I should just keep quiet and go crochet a doll. The little old man was so moved, he had to fight back tears. Only 2 precious dolls were in the box. She had only been angry with him 2 times in their entire living, loving life. He almost burst out with happiness. Honey, he said, that explains the doll, but what about all this money that you also had in here? She says, oh, that's the money I made from selling the dolls. Yeah. Hey, honey, do you have any dolls in your box? We're going to sing a song that I honestly do not remember if we have ever sang before. It's an Alison Krauss song. It is, I don't remember the title, but you might recognize it. What the heck is there? You might.
Yeah. We could delete that one from our repertoire. You know, usually feels really perceptive and selects songs that will really be of support to our process, message, whatever. I don't know about that one. I don't know, Phil. You didn't run screaming from the room, so that's a good thing. Well, we'll go from there. Allergies, thank you so much for that. Woke up this morning, dark 30. You know, I've been asking all week, what do we need to know? What do we need to talk about this week? Okay, fine. So I just did my own thing, kept praying, kept open. Dark 30 this morning. You know, what I heard was, the song got me. What I heard was, you know, how many years in Texas? Just 2. And boy, once you get it, it's, you know, it's just a lifetime to overcome. We get overwhelmed. We get overwhelmed. Don't we get overwhelmed? We get overwhelmed by life's challenges. We get overwhelmed by all the suffering in the world. We get overwhelmed by things that we need to do, should do, have to do. We get overwhelmed. So my question was, okay, so how can I be of assistance? What do you want us to know about that? And last week we did Healing Sunday, and we focused on healing physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, they would like us to know that it's important to choose one thing. Do one thing. Instead of 50,000 things, choose one thing. And I said, oh, okay, that's easy. I can share that message real easy. And there's more to the story. Because let's face it, if we choose one thing of, I want to get healthy, there's 50,000 ways to do that. There's 50,000 activities to do. Well, I'll walk. Do I walk at the mall? Do I walk in the park? Which park do I go to? Which one's closest to me? Is it safe? Do I have the right shoes? There's so many choices involved that, again, we get overwhelmed. And when we get overwhelmed, we get stagnant. We don't do anything. So the one thing is huge. And the one thing is kind of intermingled with the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So if you do one thing physically, that requires a mental choice, which requires an emotional commitment, which requires being in alignment spiritually. Who knew? It's so hard. No wonder we don't get anything done. I'm speaking for myself. Get the things done that I would like to do, because I get overwhelmed. We just do. So how can we narrow it down to one thing? One thing. Just do one thing. I'll choose, it's all about choice, I'll choose to eat one thing healthy. Well, I got to go to the fridge now and see if there's anything healthy in there. And if there's not, then I need to decide what I'm going to get that is healthy. Well, I could buy a bag of carrots. At least I have more than one thing for the rest of the week. Planning ahead for just your one thing is huge. It's huge. And we just tend to let life come at us. Well, gee, I don't have anything healthy in the fridge. I'll go eat junk food, because we happen to have that in the house. We don't have to plan too hard to make that happen. But what about spiritually? What about emotionally? What about mentally? All those choices are just as complicated and just as important. Just as important. If we could choose to do one bit of encouragement to someone else today, just one, find one person you could encourage. Well, I don't know anybody. Make some friends. It's time to make some friends. We just get so focused on one foot in front of the other, and then we're not living. But it's important to live. It's what we're alive for. So choose one person to encourage today. It doesn't even have to be anybody you know. You could go to the grocery store when you're looking for your vegetables and see somebody in the grocery store in the line and say something positive to them. Encourage them in some way. You've done two of your things. You've done a physical thing. You walked in the grocery store. You chose vegetables, so you're standing in line, and you encourage somebody. That's 3. It's not hard if we break it down into one thing. Just do one thing. Let me share with you some one thing spiritual things. Because most people, you show them a Bible and they go, oh man, that's overwhelmed. I can't do that. I get you. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. So you might want to break it down to one thing. One of my favorite things is Proverbs. I like to read Proverbs. I just read a little bit and find something that triggers something for me to think about, and then go think about that. That's one thing. It's not a huge thing. I don't have to know all of it. Just one thing. Do one thing. But sometimes that's even daunting. It's just like, I don't understand this stuff. It's hard. It's written in difficult language. It's not fun. I want to do fun. So there's other things you can do. How about this one? Ever seen this one? Jesus Calling? If you're a follower of the way, that means Jesus is your hero. But you don't necessarily have to hang out with religion. So I just opened the page. Thought, you don't have to go by day and everything has to be in a certain way. Do one thing. Be easy on yourself. Here's what it says for May 2nd, because that's the day I opened to. Living in dependence on me is the way to enjoy an abundant life. Oh, how fun is that? I can get to there. I can live with that. You're learning to appreciate tough times because they amplify your awareness of my presence. I could ponder on that for a week. Couldn't you? Tasks that you used to dread are becoming rich opportunities to enjoy my closeness. When you feel tired, you remember that I am your strength. You take pleasure in leaning on me. I am pleased by your tendency to turn to me more and more frequently, especially when you're alone. When you're with other people, you often lose sight of my presence. Your fear of displeasing people puts you in bondage to them, and they become your primary focus. When you realize this has happened, whisper my name. One little thing. This tiny act of trust brings me to the forefront of your consciousness, where I belong. As you bask in the blessing of my nearness, my life can flow through you to others. This is abundant life. Then there's 2 Bible passages that go with that. I could do 2. I could do 2 Bible passages. Couldn't you? They're just little. We could do one little thing, couldn't we? The fear of man brings a snare, but he who trusts in the Lord will be exalted. That's Proverbs again. Proverbs 29:25. I like Proverbs. It's fun. And then this other one, John 10:10. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they might have life, and they might have it abundantly. It's all about abundance. And all you got to do is one little thing. Whisper his name. Now, if you're not a follower of the way, there may be other things that you might like to do for yourself. Most of you are familiar with The Secret. Anybody not ever hear of The Secret? Okay. This is a little secondary book called Hero. Really like this one. This is really fun. She interviewed a bunch of people who were very wealthy and who have made successes in their life. And they write little snippets and then she talks about them. I want to share with you from John Paul DeJoria. I'm not sure what he does. It shows makeup here, so maybe he's a makeup artist or something. That's the Mr. Paul Mitchell? Really? Oh, she's studying with Mr. Paul Mitchell Studio, so she would know this thing. He's pretty successful.
He is. He's pretty darn.
Now listen to this. I didn't read this well, I read it before I came to church, but I didn't read it and choose what I was going to talk about today before reading this. So here it is. I wake up in the morning and I just am. One little thing. In other words, I don't turn on the TV, I don't get my cup of coffee, I don't do anything. I just sit there in bed and I just am. There are no decisions to be made, no phone calls to make. Just for 5 minutes, I try and clear my mind. Excuse me. And I am in the here and now. This way your mind goes forth during the day, uncluttered. If you have a dream you're trying to achieve, in the last couple of minutes you think a little bit about that and how much you want it, why you want it, and the things you can do to help it get closer to it. And then Rhonda Byrne follows up on that. When you stop the franticness of the day before it starts, you get your mind into a state of complete relaxation. The vision of your dream will slide straight into your subconscious mind. It's much like shutting down your computer to install a new update or program. Updates can't be installed while your computer is running lots of other programs. And likewise, your subconscious mind can't receive your wisdom, your vision, if your mind is on the run with other things. But when you shut down your mind through relaxation, your vision will be successfully installed. When you use visualization successfully, the people around you will wonder how it can be that all of a sudden everything is going your way. And everything works out for you as though you're some kind of superhuman. And you will know that you're just using one of the simplest but most powerful abilities you were born with, which is available to every human being on the planet. One little thing. Just be, I am, for one moment. This is a little calendar. It says Inner Reflections. It has really pretty little pictures in it. It's like a storybook for grown-ups. Little squirrel. So I just turned to the one page. And here's what came up for that. It's a beautiful fall scene. All the miracles of life that we take for granted are proof of the existence of an omnipresent divine intelligence behind the process of nature. Just take a couple of minutes. Just be where you are. One little thing. And when each of us does one little thing, it compounds. It compounds. It's not just you doing one little thing. Soon there's all these little wonderful things that accumulate. And they not just accumulate in your own life, which they do, but then they accumulate in the world. And you can choose to be a blessing. You can choose to encourage another person. You can choose to eat right. You can choose to take a walk. And yes, maybe that requires you to take a look at what nature trails are around you. Maybe it's time to get a dog. There's lots of choices involved in that. But starting with a simple choice and allowing the choice to lead you to the next choice. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual on all levels. If you start with the spiritual, everything else is easy. If you start with the spiritual, everything else is easier. Because then your choices are formulated, they're clearer for you. Well, if you're choosing to eat right and you hate broccoli, don't buy that stuff. It's just going to go bad in your fridge. Right? But you might want to try something else that you like. And maybe you can teach yourself, because eating healthy is an acquired taste. It really is. I know people who work really hard to learn how to like wine. But they can't eat a carrot? It's an acquired taste. Teach yourself how to eat right. It's hard work sometimes when you're just starting, but do one little thing. And if we take one bite of broccoli with gratitude, oh my gosh, that's wonderful for your body. Because you've done all four: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Physically, you're taking a bite of something healthy. Mentally, you made a good choice. Emotionally, you have gratitude, thankfulness. And spiritually, you've enhanced the flavor and you've enhanced the nutrition. When we have gratitude or have a prayer offering over our food, they have clinically proven that it increases the nutritional value. Did you not know that? Prayer works. And not just for your food. Prayer works for everything in our lives. It's one little thing. We all noticed our parking lot out here this morning. New paved parking lot. That is a result of so many people doing one little thing at the expo so the expo could be successful. One person didn't do it all, but we all did one little thing. Some of us did a whole lot of little things. But even if we're just doing one little thing, showing up and paying an entrance fee, that's a thing. And the money that was acquired from that paid the parking lot. It was needing to happen. It was really getting some holes and really bad stuff happening. So it was very important. One little thing. Do one little thing, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and it'll bless your life, and it will bless everyone's life. Because cumulatively, not only will it add up down the road for ourselves, but accumulates out in our community. When we're doing one positive thing, having one moment of love and light, being just in that moment of I am, just being at peace, that sets up a vibration of peace that extends out beyond us. Changes the world. We came to change the world. Not by saying, you changed to be what I want you to be. No, we changed the world to change the world by changing ourselves, by being the best person that we can be. And that changes everything. One little thing. Next time you're overwhelmed, one thing. Do one thing. Don't have to do it all. One. Just do one thing. And when you do the one thing with that positive anticipation, hope, and joy, changes everything. So Mr. Phil, you want to help me with one little thing? The wrong one little thing. Let's do the other one little thing. Oh, that's heavy. Oh, jeez. You're a cruel person, Mr. Phil. Did you hear what he said?
Manamana.
Da 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 da.
Manamana.
Da, 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 da. It's going to be in your head all day. It's one little thing. It'll make it crazy.
It was easy.
See how you can influence someone with one little thing?
Manamana.
Oh, let me see if I can recover from that one. Somebody spun him up this morning. I don't know. Wasn't me. It's a good thing. Join me in prayer, please. Loving Spirit of light, as we partake of this, help us to acknowledge that this physical activity nourishes the soul. Help us to do one thing for ourselves, one thing for our spiritual being. Help us to be the change that changes the world. These things we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. We have unleavened bread if you like the tradition of that. Animal crackers if you want to honor Native American pathway. And in the cup is gluten-free. Whatever works for you works for us. Blessings. This is the big one. Did you want the big one? Okay. I've never done this before. I'm so confused. I'm new here. I'm the new kid. Would you join us in prayer again, please? Loving Spirit of light, as we drink this in, help us to drink in life, all of it. Help us to find love and joy in all of it. These things we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. I'll have it.
My hand.
Oh, good Lord, now we're in trouble. If it was a piece of paper, it's gone forever. You ever notice that? You pick up a piece of paper, carry it around. Pardon me.
Cindy. You were the first one to move.
Scary.
We all know the great many blessings of this building, this church, Janice and Phil, and all those who work so hard to make everything happen so that we may come here and be inspired. So give if you can, give with love.
We're having trouble with the thermostat. I had to turn it up.
I was actually going to buy one the other day.
I know. See how it is. Yeah, we know. It's just, it says it needs new batteries. We put new batteries in it like 4 times. It needs a new thermostat, is what it needs. So finding one, buying one. It's time. It's time. Let's do a guided meditation, shall we? That's what you really came here for. Everything else is just what you tolerate to get to the meditation part.